Hi there, it's Saturday 17th of July 2021. We are continuing this month to look at the one another scriptures in the New Testament which call us to love one another and care for one another, and this week to accept one another. And in what ways are we to accept one another? Accepting, of course, means to reach out to somebody, to bring them into your world. Well, we're looking at the life of Jesus, and it's interesting that Jesus had many people who he reached out to and brought into his world and accepted. And it's interesting that he accepted them in the role of the function of the purpose for which they were brought into his world. So Jesus accepted John the Baptist as his baptizer. And there will be people that God will call us to accept and to bring into our world who will perform that role of commissioning or initiating, as John the Baptist did in one sense for Jesus. And then Jesus accepted Simon Peter into his world as his disciple. And there will be people that we will be called to bring into our worlds as our disciples, that we will be able to help them and encourage them to follow the Lord. And then Jesus accepted Mary as his mother at the wedding in Cana of Galilee, accepted the advice, the prompting from his mum. And again, we will be called to accept people into our world who will be there to prompt us and to be mothers in Israel to us, to be our spiritual parents, to give advice to us. And we will be called to learn from and take advice from. And then Jesus accepted Nicodemus as his convert, as he led him to God. And again, we will be called to lead people to God in our world, to accept them and bring them into what we know about the Lord. And then finally, Jesus accepted God as his judge. John chapter 19, verses 28 to 30, when Jesus is on the cross, later knowing that all was now completed, and so that the scripture could be fulfilled, Jesus said, "I am thirsty." A jar of wine vinegar was there, so they soaked a sponge on it, put the sponge on a stalk of the hyssop plant and lifted it to Jesus' lips. And when he had received the drink, Jesus said, "It is finished." And with that he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. Jesus accepted God into his life as his judge. He accepted that he was going to be the sacrifice for all sin, that the sins of the world were going to be laid upon him, and that God was going to judge Jesus for the sins of the world. Not for his own sins, because Jesus was sinless and perfect, but where God was going to judge Jesus for the sins of the world and